And I turned around. I was kind of upset. Guess what, guys? There was nobody there. Nobody. It wasn't my imagination. And then,
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying I think Steffi and I can both, attest to having similar experiences to, being touched like that, and certainly it takes you by surprise when.
Yeah, well, it actually hurt, and then several months later, I'd be down there late at night, sometimes like 11, 12 o'clock at night, working on camera equipment for customers or doing whatever, because I was a tech too. I would be in my office, which was downstairs. The other main offices for the business were upstairs, and I was there late at night. I had the doors locked, from the inside for nobody, even if they had the key, they couldn't got in. But all of a sudden, I heard footsteps going up the stairs, which was on the outside of my office, and they're still the old type of stairs, from the hotels going back that time frame. And I heard the creaking, and I heard the footsteps, and I go, wow, this is weird. So I got out there, and I figured, well, somehow one of the owners got in there. Guess what? Nobody was there. And then it started getting worse. All of a sudden, I'd be down there at night, and then I'd hear multiple footsteps. Then I'd hear like men and women muffled talking. And I'd run out there. Nobody was there. And at that point, I made the determination I was never going to be there. After when we closed at 6 p.m., guess who was at that door, letting all the employees out with the key in hand, locking it? Me.
Of course.
It scared me. Then I started thinking about, I over the whole thing. I actually did at one point fire an employee at the start because, him coming up and telling me that he saw things moving and he refused to go down there. You would think, hey, this guy has a problem. But then, like I said, then all of a sudden there came, another employee, and another employee, and nobody would go down there. It was weird. And then I did some research, and then I found out there was a couple killings in the basement when it was a bar around the 1890s, 1900. Then there was a bunch of killings during the time it was a brothel, of ladies of the night getting murdered. So, I mean, that place, if anything was haunted, that was it.
That's at least the stuff about that took place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A lot of stuff didn't go, back then went unreported, and they didn't find the body or find, and obviously, it's that kind of lifestyle, brothel, and you're always they tend to be victims of crimes at a higher rate than everybody else. So they're,
Yeah, and then you had the
surprise places like that have activity.
Yeah, and then I had all the sailors come in because it was a major port, so the sailors would come in. So that's I guess how the fights got developed. But that's been my main thing of my experience on ghost. I mean I ran into something else once in my life, but that was enough where I worked there for 16 years, and then one day I told the owner, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm done.
Well, that sounds like somewhere I might want to visit one day.
Yeah. Well, it's no longer a camera shop because after I left, the business failed. But not saying it was, because of me, but it's a title company, and every so often I feel like just giving them a call and ask if they have any strange things going on there, because I'm sure if it happened all the years that business was there, because it was there for like 50 years before I started working there in that building. I'm sure whatever business came in afterwards, I'm sure they had to run across some strange things.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Especially if you have that much activity, that place sounds hopping.
Oh yeah, well like I said, at the start I didn't even comprehend it was ghosts or spirits or stuff like that. But when you have all those employees over a certain period of time, all coming back and telling you the same thing, namely they refused to go down in the basement unless they went with a group.
Yeah, we've had a couple of cases like business cases where people are afraid to go in their certain parts of the building alone and things like that. Yeah, even where I work at an old college, and and it's been around since 1911. But some of the buildings are older, and some of my coworkers and employees they don't want to go into certain buildings after certain hours and day and night because the stories associated and the feeling you get when you go through there, and so.
Yeah, then I had another person tell me that that's probably the safest place to go is the cemetery because the spirits, undoubtedly wouldn't be at where the body is, but I don't know. What have you guys done any research on cemeteries?
Well, it's actually kind of a favorite place for, unfortunately, suicide.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
People will go and park their cars there where they think no one will be and take their lives. So it's always a possibility of encountering something from that. But
But as far as everybody else, I guess the belief is it's consecrated ground. So they're not going to, the spirits that are there may be at rest. Like Stephanie said, there probably may be other reasons why a cemetery may be haunted because something took place. Like we had one. There's like a cemetery up near us, near Brooklyn, Connecticut, and northeast Connecticut, excuse me. And there's a particular cemetery and ground that is haunted because a homicide took place, a famous serial killer that we had up here.
Oh, wow.
And so that's rumored to be haunted, and but I really think there needs to be more of a reason for that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're more transient.
Yeah, I don't know. I myself, I feel very uncomfortable going in the cemetery at nighttime. Not just maybe for ghosts and spirits, but you never know what you might run across, in the cemetery at night.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why.
Sure.
Yeah, we if we were to do something like that, we would, we'd have permission and people would know we were out there and stuff like that, and we'd be in with our whole teams. So, I mean, I don't think I would definitely not, go there by myself.
Oh, yeah.
Alone at night. That is not safe. You have no idea who was out there. I think I'd be more afraid of people than spirits. But maybe that's just because I'm a ghost hunter.
So, what got you guys into ghost hunting?
We both have different stories, of course.
Oh, which one do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Steph. Go ahead.
Well, I've always been particularly fond of things that are paranormal. I mean, of course, starting out with Scooby-Doo, and I'd love to go check out books in the library that had to do with telling old true ghost stories and stuff like that. I'd get stuff from other libraries just so I could read a new book about it. And, I mean, when I was younger, I really didn't have any paranormal experiences except when my great-grandmother died. She came and visited me the day after she had died. But what really, really piqued my interest in paranormal, investigation was a particular house that I used to frequent when I was in high school. A good friend of mine, her family lived there. It was a house that was built in the 1700s in, beach town in New England. It's a gorgeous place. But anyways, I would go there a lot, and I was very familiar with her family, and my friend was at work, and, previously to that, I had all sorts of different experiences where I'd see shadows, and, I heard what sounded like a lamp smashing the first night that I had ever been there. But what really solidified, my belief, completely, was I went there after school one day. I got off the bus at her house. My friend was at work. She had worked at a local grocery store. And her parents were home, and they had another job that was a cleaning job after school, or after they got out of their previous job. And I got there, and they were like, help yourself to whatever in the kitchen, and we're going to go to work, and Lauren will be home soon. So I was like, okay. So So I went in the kitchen and I picked up the portable phone and I'm getting a drink and it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's very light out, and I turn and a man walks across the hallway past the doorway in the kitchen, clear as day, full apparition, right before my eyes. There was no one in the house. I picked up my drink and the phone and I ran outside and I refused to go in until my friend came home. And then at another point in time, I was very upset about something and I was crying and all my friend was asleep and her sisters and her parents, they were all asleep. And I felt a squeeze on my shoulder as if someone was comforting me. Turn around, there's no one there, of course, and I'm totally freaked out and I run out of the room. But those two instances made it so as soon as I saw the application for TSPI, I completely jumped on that.
Oh, wow. That would scare me, the same way, like I mean, when somebody touches you and they're not there. I mean, it really opens your eyes up, like, what is going on?
Yeah, and it's not as if I have, like, a history of hallucinating or anything like that. I'm just a normal teenage girl, and all of a sudden I feel this really hard squeeze on my shoulder, and it's not something I could imagine. It was so, like, just firm, and the grip, it was insane. That house I would love to go back there.
So did it only happen like the one time there, or did it happen, any other times there?
Well, I would, those were the two most, like, prominent things, but I would see shadows all the time, like, just rushing past downstairs while I was upstairs, or, and, like, their cat would seem to play with things, like stand up on its back legs and look like it was reaching out for somebody that was in the air.
Yeah,
no one would be there.
I noticed cats.
Like,
cats must see.
Like that.
Cats must see something that we don't see, or hear something, because I've had a few cats, and all of a sudden they would be like looking at something, and I'm looking at what they're looking at, and there's nothing there, but they're seeing something. So unless they're hallucinating, and it can't be catnip, because I never bought them any catnip.
Yeah, I know. I mean, people do say that animals are a little more sensitive to the things we don't see with our naked eye all that often. So it's not like the theory has not been put into place. It's just, unfortunately, they don't speak, so we cannot test it.
Yeah. Hey, I think we lost your partner. I haven't seen him call back, and he's been gone for like the last 5 minutes. So,
oh no,
maybe a ghost got him. I'm not sure.
I don't know. He must be in a terrible area. I will definitely message him, and we can keep talking.
Yeah. So, I mean, how many people are in your group, and how often do you go out and things like that?
Well, right now it's I think we're at 8 or 9. We just hired a couple new people. A girl that is going to be like help us with some writing that we have, because we do a lot of other things aside from just the paranormal investigating, and then we hired someone else who's a sensitive and also can help with like case management and background checks and things like that. And but we have all different sorts of people who have a lot of different skills, and we all come together and make a whole team.
Oh, wow. Whose idea was it to start this team and all that stuff?
That would be Seamus. He used to kind of pal around with other teams that weren't very serious, and they kind of didn't have any direction with how they investigated. And a friend of his, Todd Radley, who, also helped co-found the group, who is no longer with us. He decided to retire because he's like super busy. But he used to work at the North State Hospital, and if you're from Connecticut,